Good evening. My name is Jake Sullivan, and today we're going to be talking about the effects that steroids have on athletes, and baseball especially. So I do not know how many of you watch baseball or keep up with things that are happening around the league. If you don't keep up with it, I bet you've heard of the very controversial topic of steroids, or you know what steroids are mostly used for. One of the main offenders of steroids, or who get caught the most, are baseball players. I will not lie and tell you guys that the topic of steroids does not float around the collegiate level, because it certainly does. But the biggest culprits are Major League Baseball players. Today we'll be discussing the positive effects, negative effects, and the effect that it has on baseball as a whole. We will begin by discussing the positive effects that steroids has to offer. Steroids are most commonly talked about when speaking on performance, but not a lot of people know that steroids have positive effects on recovery. Some athletes, and even the common man, are prescribed steroids to help recover from surgery or a serious injury. Many people have heard of the investigation of Broncos quarterback Peyton Manning, who claims to have taken steroids to help heal his back, and I firmly believe that. But just know that this is not always the case. Another positive effect, yet illegal effect that steroids have, are performance enhancers. According to an article that I found on Google Scholar, steroids make players' muscles grow faster and their desire to get into the weight room intensify. This leads to better power numbers for hitters and a stronger arm for pitchers. This is a positive effect for the player, not for the league. This leads me into my next topic, the negative effect. The use of steroids is illegal in the sport of baseball and pretty much every other sport. One, because it provides a performance edge for the player, and that is considered cheating. And if they are not taken properly, they can damage your body significantly. According to WebMD, excessive use of steroids cause tendon rupture, increased risk of heart attacks, and liver cancer, as well as many others. It also provides a negative view for the youth of the sport. Many kids look up to MLB players, and when they hear that their favorite player is taking steroids, it plants the idea in their head that that's what they need to do to get to the next level. Or if you're struggling, to take steroids to increase your production. Because we have explored the positive and the negative effects of steroids, we can now talk about the effect that they have on baseball as a whole. The use of steroids provides the player with an advantage over their opponent, and that is something that needs to change. It is changing the way that the game is played, and that is not okay. The other problem that we run into is that the younger players think it is okay to do it. This is a problem that needs to be addressed to every athlete as they continue their careers, that steroids are not the answer, that they can cause lifelong problems and get them into serious trouble. Steroids are changing the sport of baseball, and for the worse. The use of steroids has decreased in the recent years, but is still relevant in the game today. Now that you have been informed on all the aspects of the drug, you still might want to know more. There are many articles that talk about the use of steroids in baseball and provide an in-depth statistics on how they increase production. Just remember that steroids have some positive effects, but they are ultimately a drug that should not be messed with unless prescribed to by a doctor. Thank you.